She would have me sing for her friends, and they would cry. And I would go, Mom, why do you make me sing if they're going to cry? And she goes, no, they're not crying because you're bad. They're crying because you're touching them emotionally. Hi, I'm Gloria Estefan.
And Andy Garcia.
And we are here to explain it all, or at least what we want to explain. Some of it might, not
Be
get
left
talked
out,
about.
yeah.
Yes, absolutely. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I'll start it off. When do you remember? Do you remember? That's the first question. Do you remember?
The first
Anything.
moment? What do I remember
Yeah,
from
what-
wanting to become a singer?
Yeah, for the first time you thought I wanted to do this.
Right after high school. We were putting together a band for one night for fun for our parents that had gone away to the spiritual encounters that they were doing at the time.
retreats, yeah.
Right, the spiritual retreats. And the guy says, oh, we've got a guy at Bacardi that has a band. He has,
We got a guy at Bacardi. That was already a red flag.
Well, Emilio, he started as a mail boy there.
I
and
know,
then
I
at
know.
that point, he was an administrative assistant or something. And he came with his accordion and gave us tips on how to get a band together. He had very short shorts. I remember that because I was sitting on the floor, and the first thing that came at me was a pair of legs that wouldn't quit and an accordion. He looked naked, actually, right there. So then he gave us the tips, and then that summer I went to a wedding with my mother, and I walk in, and I go, I recognize that guy. He was playing Do the Hustle on the accordion,
Wow.
which was very brave. He asked me to join the band that night. I didn't. I said no, but 2 weeks later he tracked me down. So it was never anything like, oh, I decided.
Yeah, right.
It was very slow and happened naturally, and I went with it. Still studying psychology, communications,
Yeah.
thinking I was going to be a doctor.
Right.
But what about you? Because you sat in one of those gigs that we played.
I used to sit in, and you guys would look at me. Who's this guy that keeps jumping on the stage with us when we play the conga at the end? I would do it only at the end
Exactly.
when the conga line was going to start, and you guys played a tradition. You weren't even playing your hit.
Yeah, no,
You
we
were
hadn't
just
written.
playing the traditional, different conga melodies, and I would sit in, and you guys would look, there's that guy again, I always kind of looked at it as a virus, It sort of picked me, I didn't pick it, It was slowly brewing in me since I was a young boy. Films and movies had a great effect on me, and actors in movies, of course. In the 60s, people like Sean Connery and James Coburn and Steve McQueen and Peter Sellers. But I was a jock, so that kind of kept me preoccupied. And then when I was in high school in my senior year, I got a very bad case of mononucleosis and hepatitis, which came hand in hand. I've been prepping my senior year, sort of like to try to do well and maybe get a little scholarship at some small school as a point guard. And I couldn't exercise for months and months because my spleen was. Anyway, but I took an acting class. I was a gentleman by the name of Jay Jensen. But he was I was very stimulated by the class, and he was very encouraging.
Well, I know you mentioned some of the people that really drew you in, but do you have any role models? I bet I know one of them, but
My father,
yes.
that's always, my father and my mother. Those are the people that I had the privilege of watching them and seeing their work ethic and everything they did to provide our family, myself, with this opportunity in this country, because all that, as you know, those opportunities was taken away from us in our home country. The ability to be free and to speak and to be entrepreneurs
And professionally?
There's so many,
I know.
Like in the 60s, obviously the Sean Connerys of the world, were like, wow.
There's another one with great legs.
Yeah.
Woo! That movie Zardos that he did, I was like sitting there as a teenager looking at this guy.
Yeah, so that in that era, but then later on, as I got more serious in it, the movie that really changed my life and said I'd like to aspire to do that one day. That's the kind of work I was aspired to do, was when The Godfather came out, the first one.
Oh my gosh.
And that cast that was in there, and just the movie itself was like mind-boggling.
Okay, so
It's a
here
lot
you
of-
are. You love the Godfather
Yeah.
movies. How did you feel when that call came for you?
I felt a certain destiny about it in a way, because they had announced the movie that they were going to do another one. And I remember thinking to myself, that's my part. And I had been working for Paramount from Mr. Frank Mancuso. We had lunch on set, And he said, what are you doing in September? I want to talk to Francis. Well, I want you to be, play this part in the movie. And I said, I'll check my schedule, I'll get back to you.
And I know on my end, I know that I have a role model that I share with you, Cachao.
Cachao, yeah.
And Celia Cruz.
Right.
On the musical side. Not only, those were the first things I listened to when my mom brought her albums from Cuba.
Sure.
So that was my first musical influence. And I remember poring over those album covers and listening to how they sang, and at the same time listening to Nat King Cole and Dean Martin and Andy Williams, and my mom also had those records. But I think that Cachao and Celia, to me, the reason they're such role models were because we got to meet them on a human level, and these people were at the top of their game. They were the best in their fields, only in their fields, because they were unique, yet they never lost their humility, their love for people. They wanted to help. They would wrap your arms around you, they'd joke. I wanted that. I wanted to be like that.
And
I know.
And you are.
In our
That's
career.
why we all love you, because you are.
Thank you.
Well, I'm going to ask you always the most difficult question that you can ask.
Thank you.
And I'll chime in to try to help. But for me, it's always a terrible thing. In your mind, what do you think this movie is about?
First of all, when I read the script, I was cracking up. To me, it's very important. They've sent me a lot of scripts through the years, and my criteria is either it advances me as an actor or it's a really good script. I love the fact that we were going to be able to protect and enhance our culture, because you're an executive producer and Warner's being very careful to do things the right way. And I think it's a great opportunity to present that humor and warmth and music and food to the world through this incredible that people love. I've never had anyone say, "Oh, Father of the Bride." They always say, "I love that movie." But an interesting story about Father of the Bride, by the way, and that thing you said about The Godfather, when it came out that they were going to do Father of the Bride, Frank, our late president, we lost him last year. It was really terrible.
Yes,
Frank Amadeo. He was conspiring with the PR person, and they were saying, Gloria has to be in this movie somehow. And then it never really came up until I get a text from you. But it was almost like these things are meant to
I
happen.
think somehow you meant, there's that whole thing about that you can manifest things to happen through dedication and your persistence. As somebody upstairs says, all right, let them do it,
Okay, I'm sure you've done pretty much everything you've ever wanted to do, but is there something still on your bucket list?
Oh yeah, there's always something. I mean, creatively, I've been blessed to fulfill my dreams, but I'm still dreaming. The work ahead of you is as Robert Browning said, a man's reach should be greater than his grasp, or what's a heaven for? So for me, I have those dreams of doing things that are very personal,
Exactly.
that I've created.
I wrote a whole song about it. It's called Reach.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but how
Reach.
about something fun? For example, I really want to take a really good cooking class because I grew up in the kitchen with my grandma, and I can make anything. I can invent it like this. But I really want to be able to now, especially to cook for my grandson and stuff, because he jokes and he says that when he goes to the other grandma's house, it's always pasta because they're Italian. And when he comes to my house, it's pollito con arroz. I go, and he loves to eat everything. So I want to take a cooking class to impress my grandson.
Yeah, I love to fish and stuff and play golf. That's my sort of recreation. There's always the desire to be able to spend a long, extended period of time on an island, because we came from Cuba. Of course, my greatest dream is to see a free Cuba, as it is for you,
absolutely.
and be able to go back there in a free and pluralistic society. Where do you feel like you have the greatest solace in your life, or you're happiest?
Oh my gosh, I'm a happy person wherever I am, but I have to say that my happiest place is in our Vero house, that house that we have that's on the ocean, literally, with my closest family, with my 2 kids, with Lily, my niece, and just hanging out by the pool, just being together. Or on a vacation. I am happiest when I am spending time with the people I love the most, doing whatever it is we're doing.
Ditto for me. I feel the same way with wherever I am with my family. But I think if I were to pick a place with them, for some reason, it always has to do with the ocean, the beach, the sand, or a boat. But there's something about the ocean that evokes something, maybe because we come from an island.
Yeah, we're island kids.
Yeah, and so there's something that happens when you're together in a quiet area, quiet place, with not too many people around, just your family, and kind of
Absolutely.
almost like summer camp in a way.
You've been to my happy place.
Yes, I have.
Didn't we have a situation where we lost your son somewhere on that trip?
That's possible.
That he disappeared?
That's possible.
And all of a sudden, Emily comes, Mom, like, I think we lost him. My God.
He went on explores. He went to explore.
He went off, and there's a lot of preserves there and stuff, and it got hairy there for a minute, but no, he was fine, thankfully. What is the best advice that you were ever given by someone? And then what do you give as advice?
That's the one I tell them. It's like a broken record with my kids, or anybody. And my father would say it to me, and he would say, never take a step backward, not even to gain momentum. So that was kind of my go-to, and it's been something that I've latched onto in the most difficult of times.
The best advice I ever got was from my grandmother, who recognized my voice and what I should be doing, and would always try to find me people to come hear me play my guitar.
Glorita.
Yeah, Glorita, I sing for this guy. I sang for Tomás de San Julián, for Roberto Ledesma, that they would go to play Little League with their kids. And she had set up that whole place that she made food. I don't think she had a license, but well, she did great.
And you'd have to perform right there in the
Yeah, she'd say, get your guitar. But she said to me, look, I understand that you want to go to school, and that's important that you do it, but you have a talent that came with you, and unless you share that talent with the world, you're never going to be completely happy. And
that's the virus.
It fell into my lap.
Yeah.
Because I didn't go looking for it. And she said that to me. She goes, one day it's going to fall into your lap, and I hope you're smart enough. I hope I'm around to remind you, and I hope you're smart enough to go in that direction.